Welcome to the podcast here. Actually, we're recording this on a Saturday here here in the studio. A couple things to talk about today on the show. Probably go about 15 minutes here. The blowback from the Myles Garrett suspensions and the suspensions, of course, from the tail end of the Steelers-Browns finale, which the game I didn't know actually really watch the final minute or so. What else we have going on today as well? We have that. We have my gambling picks for the week. Also, Carmelo Anthony is back in the NBA. The AEW NXT Wars, the updates on the numbers. You guys already saw this, I'm sure. I'm going to get my thoughts on that. And, of course, Disney Plus hits 10 million subscribers on this first day of launch. It's been absolute a Disney Plus week here, especially in the Christian household with my wife. I'll tell you how we experienced our first Disney Plus experience, first day of it, rather, on Tuesday when it was launched. But let's get to the blowback from the Myles Garrett suspensions. The suspensions from the game. Myles Garrett, of course, tosses his helmet in a melee at Mason Rudolph, according for the Steelers, after a scuffle, which I believe was the last play of the game. It was definitely one of the last plays of the game. In a game the Browns had already had in hand at that point. Now I gotta say this. Now Myles Garrett, of course, is suspended indefinitely. You have Marcus Pouncey, whichever Pouncey brother it is. I think it's Marcus or more. I think it's Marcus. I'm not sure exactly. He got 3 games for being involved in the melee after swinging at Garrett for doing what he did to Rudolph. The other guy, the guy from the Browns, can't pronounce his name here, who pushed Mason Rudolph to the ground, he got a game as well too. Now, the NFL, for the most part, got it right. For the most part. And I say most part for one reason. I thought Mason Rudolph should have gotten at least a game. Because the situation did escalate because of him. The fact, well, obviously, Garrett threw him to the ground, but it did escalate. Rudolph hit him in the crotch area. You can see some in the video. He hit him in the crotch area. And I'm not justifying Garrett, because everybody was wrong in the situation. I get what Pouncey did defending his quarterback, but you still can't do what he did. Garrett obviously got suspended definitely. I was saying 8 games minimum. So he's going to miss the rest of the year, obviously. Probably the playoffs, assuming the Browns are even in the playoffs, which I doubt that, of course. But I thought they should have I thought Rudolph should have got at least 1 game. 1 game. I'm not even saying 2, just 1 game. Because it did escalate because in the large part because of him. And it's sad too, because you look at this game, you look at the actual football numbers, the actual football impact in the race to the wild card in the playoffs. The Browns win this game. Now they're 4-6. They're only a game back on the wild card. The wild card's got a little bit interesting now because Buffalo's 6-3, but this are the Bills. Do you trust them? I'm not sure. And you have the situation with right now the 6th seed going to the game was the Steelers, and Browns has won that game. So now they get a game up now to catch up on. So you look at the wildcard picture, it looks pretty interesting now. So let's take a look at the AFC playoff picture right now. With the Browns winning. Now obviously we got to go through week 11 this week. You got a lot of games that is going to affect this, obviously. But let's assume that Buffalo loses to Miami. Let's assume Oakland, which it's a long shot, but let's assume that the Raiders lose to the Bengals at home. That doesn't happen, but let's see. Let's play devil advocate. Let's see those teams lose this weekend. Okay? All of a sudden, you got the Cleveland Browns with all their talent. Now, granted, losing Myles Garrett is going to be a big deal. It's a huge deal. In fact, he's arguably the best player, probably on both sides of the ball. Yeah, no disrespect to Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry. Myles Garrett is probably their most impactful player on either side of the ball. So it's going to be a big injury. But this is why this was kind of stupid what happened on Thursday. Because now the Browns are in a situation, now they won 2 in a row. They're starting to play a little better. Beat a divisional rival on Thursday. Also, for as much as tough a year has been for the Browns, they're actually right there in the thick of things. And if things fall their way this weekend, they're only a game back on the wild card. I mean, are you trusting Buffalo to close the deal at 6-3? Certainly the Bills have a couple legs up on everybody else. But even though the schedule's somewhat manageable, there's still some tough games in their head for them. Just got the Patriots one more time. And the Bills, look, the Bills lost to Cleveland also as well this weekend. last weekend rather. So that's why what happened to the Browns was kind of stupid, and it's kind of, in a grander scheme, it could impact them in their chances of getting the playoffs, because now they're only a game behind. They're only a game behind, and that's the sad part. So a lot of things can happen in the next 24 hours, and the Browns are right back in it. So that's why it was a really big thing that happened at the end of the game. But again, that's just how things crumble. Okay. Now let's get to my Week 11 gambling picks, NFL. As you know, I don't mean to brag, but I went 5-0 last week in my picks. I went 4-1 the week before, and I went 5-0 3 weeks before that, or 3 weeks ago, should I say? Well, a week before that. So I'm on a good run right now with my gambling picks. We're gonna continue doing it right here and see if we get you guys. We're gonna make this happen and see if we can get this going for you guys. Okay, so the gambling picks. Here we go. Here are my picks for the weekend. I am taking the under on Jaguars and Colts. Now, give me 1 second because I actually don't have the number posted here on my notes. Give me a second. The under at 44. The Jaguars and Colts at Indy. Give me 44. Now, obviously, we don't know. There's no news yet on Jacoby Brissett, whether he's going to be started this week or not. I haven't seen any news thus far as it's recording, so I'm going to assume he's not playing. And I'm going to take the under this game. The Colts are struggling now. They're 5-4 now, and that's another team right now in the that can lose this weekend, that can impact the Browns and their playoff chances moving forward. Give me the Vikings to cover 10.5 points over the Broncos this weekend as well too. The Vikings on a roll. Big win in Dallas last week. The Broncos, meanwhile, are pretty much trading off assets, and pretty much, I'd be honest with you, it wouldn't surprise me if they're trying to tank. Wouldn't surprise me. I'm going to ride the wave again, and Vegas finally adjusted with these big Dolphin lines. Have been getting a lot of points. I've been taking Dolphins a lot in the last couple of weeks, and they've been in part of the reason why I've done well on these picks. I'm going to do it again this week. Give me the Miami Dolphins plus 5.5 over the Buffalo Bills. It would not shock me that they actually win this game. I'm not picking them to win this game, but it wouldn't shock me. They're playing good football. And to be honest with you, shout out to Dolphin fans for sticking it out. And the Dolphins players for not quitting. Maybe the front office wants to quit, but the players don't want to quit. Neither the coaching staff. They played good football for the last month. Even the last 2 losses they had, they were in the game. They beat Washington a month ago. They were definitely in that game against Buffalo a few weeks back. And, of course, they won the last 2 games. So the Dolphins have been playing much better football the last couple of weeks. So you got to give them credit there. I'm going to take the Raiders here to cover against the Bengals at 10.5 points. The Bengals is awful, 0-8 or 0-9 at this point. The Raiders are playing some good football as of late. John Gruden, if we're talking Coach of the Year candidates, he's definitely in the mix right now. If the season ends today, you definitely get some votes there from me. And then finally, I'm going to take the Rams to actually win a big game here that they need. They definitely must win for the Rams. The Rams have to win out pretty much to make the playoffs. The NFC playoff picture is a mess. So the Rams must win. Got to win this game. I'm going to take the Rams minus 6.5 over the Bears, just because desperation and because Richard Trubisky is a terrible quarterback. So there you go. So once again, the under at 44 for Colts, Jaguars, the Vikings minus 10.5 over Denver, the Miami Dolphins plus 5.5 against the Buffalo Bills. It would not shock me the Dolphins win that game also too, but I don't know what's going to happen, but we'll see. The Raiders minus 10.5 over the Bengals, the hapless Bengals, worst team in football by far, and the Rams minus 6.5 over the Bears on Sunday Football. Okay, Carmelo Anthony signs with the Portland Trailblazers. Portland right now, one of the teams that we look at the West in terms of coming to the year, who are going to be contenders. We were talking about the Clippers, talking about the Lakers, talking about. I mentioned the Blazers too. Remember the Blazers last year were in the West Conference Finals last year, and they struggled so far. They've struggled. So, does this move help the Blazers moving forward? We'll see. Right now, the Blazers are 4-8. They are dwindling right now. They lost 2 in a row, 7 last 10 games. They need some spark, and if Carmelo Anthony give him a spark, I'm going to assume he's off the bench. Anything at this point, anything right now for Blazers will help. And if Carmelo Anthony is somebody that can help this team get over the hump right now, you go for it. You absolutely go for it. So I'm okay with that. I'm happy for Carmelo Anthony. Certainly a narrative on him through the years warranted. But I think he's obviously I think he realizes now that this is it for it. This is put up shot time. Just take what you get, come off the bench, all that, and be done with it. All right, the AEW NXT Wednesday Night Wars again. AEW wins again this week for the 6th straight week. And forget that. I'm a little shocked because I thought NXT would actually, because as you've seen with the latest storyline with in the WWE, where leaving up Survivor Series, they're using the angle now of NXT invading both Raw and SmackDown, and then in the last 2 shows as well, so you've seen talent from the Raw and SmackDown invade NXT in their Wednesday night show. So the ratings have actually improved as a result. So it was thought of, I thought about this, that NXT will probably pull a win this week. Not so fast. AEW still maintains, and not only that, AEW's numbers increased after the pay-per-view on Saturday, and Full Gear, the pay-per-view that I still haven't watched yet. And they nearly got 1 million views. They the last numbers that came in for the Wednesday night's telecast, AEW got 900 over 900,000 views, watchers, while NXT got I'm looking for them right now. Give me 1 second. The number's right here somewhere. Going through my phone real quick. The numbers for AEW and NXT. I'm stalling because it's not radio. All right, so AEW on Wednesday night last week got 957,000 views. NXT 750,000. Now NXT's number went down because the NXT actually got 813,000 last week. They're down a little bit. AEW with numbers went way up, near 1 million. So the AEW content, in my opinion, is maintaining. Is doing, in my opinion, doing pretty well. As I said, and I tweeted this a couple days ago, though, that the AEW content and wrestling content as a whole has actually started to catch up with me now. You have, as I told you, not including pay-per-views for the record. If you're talking just strict TV, I have 9 hours of wrestling content I have to watch a week. Okay? 3 hours of Raw, 2 hours of SmackDown, 2 hours of NXT, 2 hours of AEW. That's not even including AEW Dark, which is on YouTube for an hour on Tuesday nights, which I haven't watched yet, but I do plan to at some point down the road. You have pay-per-views every month for WWE. By the way, AEW is very smart when they're doing the pay-per-views. Rather than having a pay-per-view every month, they're doing only 4 a year. So basically one every season. Very smart move. It puts more onus on the TV shows instead. And then you have all this content, and I've now officially fallen behind on Raw. I missed this week's Raw. I've missed the last 2 SmackDowns, and even the last 2 NXTs. And the only one I'm really caught up on is the only one I'm really invested in heavily is AEW, because AEW is very easy to follow. They have 1 show a week, and they have the 1 hour show on Tuesday, AEW Dark, and then that's it. Whereas WWE is so oversaturated with material. Now, I will say, of the 3 brands of WWE's platform, to be honest, I'm enjoying the NXT one more. To the point now where I'm starting to get to the point where I'm considering maybe cutting off SmackDown. I haven't enjoyed SmackDown since SmackDown's moved to Fox. I haven't enjoyed the shows. They've been average at best. You may get one great show. The best shows they've had so far was the one when NXT took over 2 weeks ago. Raw, not much better, but better roster. But the problem with Raw is too damn long. Raw is 3 hours long. And I don't have a DVR. I stream this stuff the day after. Like, I would watch this stuff live. That's the problem too. I don't watch it live. Because first on Monday nights, you have Monday Night Football. That's first priority. So I'll watch Raw the day after. But the problem is now, because I have a DVR, I'm forced to watch it on the USA streaming service, and that comes with commercials, which you can't fast forward because the ads on there. You have to wait 2 minutes, up to 2 minutes for the ads before you go to the next spot. And Raw is loaded with ads. I mean, I'm not mistaking you. In the 3 hours of Raw, I think there are close to 15 ads. It went from 10, 15 ads for the episode. So it's a lot to commit to. So I've been thinking about like maybe cutting something off. But right now it's hard to, because right now all 3 brands are sort of intermingling now. and lead the Survivor Series, which, by the way, on Earnestly podcast this week, I do plan on doing Survivor Series preview with our friend GW Ross on the other show on Earnestly podcast. So look out for that. So yeah, again, NXT, again, AEW continues to maintain its lead, every week. They won for the 6th straight week. Now folks, a lot of people will say that, the numbers don't matter, and I get that. I'm not gonna knock people who don't really care for numbers. I do, because it's something to talk about. And it does give you a pulse of where things are at, because NXT, while Raw and SmackDown get bigger numbers than NXT, most wrestling fans actually prefer NXT. If you talk to the hardcore fan, they will probably tell you that they prefer NXT. The only reason NXT is not getting the numbers of Raw and SmackDown yet is because the casual fan watches Raw and SmackDown because of the names they know. Like, you're not going to see Roman Reigns on NXT. You're not going to see Seth Rollins on NXT. At least not yet anyway. Because they are they have their own brands to run. So the casual fans are always gonna side with what they know, what they're familiar with. But the hardcore wrestling fan is going to prefer NXT. I mean, people I talk to, people who I'm close with, who, people I see on social media that I talk to that are diehard wrestling fans, prefer NXT over anything that Raw SmackDown does. AEW is kind of close to what NXT does as well too. AEW is actually a more compelling wrestling show than, say, Raw and SmackDown, and it's not even close. Not even close. Is AEW perfect? No. There's other things that could be improved. Yeah, absolutely. Women's division not as great as it should be, but again, you look at that situation where that can be fixed. So there you go. What else before I go? I have another thing I want to talk about here before I get out of here. Oh yeah, Disney Plus. Launched this week and netted 10 million subscribers on the first day alone on Tuesday. And I was one of the 10 million on the record. I remember waking up in the morning at 7 o'clock. My wife woke up with me and immediately told me to go ahead and download that thing right now, like it's on style. And we took care of that. And she's been, every chance she gets, she's been watching it. Now, I tweeted this a couple days ago on social media, that if it wasn't for me having my wife and my 2 kids, I probably wouldn't prioritize Disney Plus. I probably would still get it at some point, but I wouldn't be as, gaga, like I have to have it in this moment right now or else I'm gonna die. That would have been me. But I got it, because my kids and my wife love it. Outside of Star Wars and outside of the Marvel movies, National Geographic, and maybe a couple of movies here and there and shows here and there, I don't really have it attached to Disney. Now, we have Disney passes, her and I, the family and I, which we may or may not keep beyond next year because they're very expensive. But we do have Disney passes. But I was never a really big Disney person growing up as a kid. In fact, like I said, I tweeted this earlier in the week. I was a bigger Hanna-Barbera fan. I was a bigger Warner Brothers fan than I was Disney. Disney didn't register my realm pretty much at all until my teenage years. Like, it wasn't until, The Lion King was the first really major Disney movie that I actually was heavily invested in a way where it's like, oh, okay, I get it. Or Aladdin. And by then I was 14 years old when it came out. By then I was already in my teens. I was already watching sports. I was already, doing other things. So, Disney Plus wasn't, it's a big deal because of my family, but personally for me, if I was a single man right now, I'd probably still get it at some point, but it wouldn't be priority number 1 for me personally. Okay? The only reason why we even had Disney Plus now, and the only reason why the only thing that selling point they have for me now is that I got the ESPN Plus bundle with that. Now, granted, I already had ESPN Plus before that, and of course the Hulu bundle, which I haven't been using lately, to be honest with you. So, but I have the bundle now for $13, ESPN Plus, Hulu Plus, and Disney Plus. So, there you go. So, but honestly, for the amount of content they have on there, I mean, it is flooded with content. Flooded. New stuff, old stuff, movies, cartoons, you name it. You are getting an absolute bargain with Disney Plus. Absolute bargain. If you're on the fence with that, I would say just get it. If you can afford $7 a month, do it. Because it's worth it. So, even if it's for a month or two, just to see what's on there. It's worth paying just to see what's under the hood. So, there you go. Till then, love you guys, kisses, and until the next one. Later.